Hey guys, so I thought I would take you through building an app today. And yeah, we can just have some conversation about everything and see where it takes us. So just getting set up. Um, and yeah, well, I've been watching a lot of these like advertisements for like Base 44 and Replit and all these different things. And I think it's interesting. But as a developer, I'm kind of like, well, a lot of this stuff is pretty easy with Cursor to kind of build yourself. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about, you know, building an app. I think we'll build like a Twitter clone or something just for fun. And I'll take you through my stack, what it is that I use and whatnot. So first off, I think I've been building a lot of apps, and I find that my frequency of app development is like totally, probably 100 times now, like amount of apps that I'm building. So scalability, manageability is very important to me because without those things, it's kind of like you build an app and it grenades. I think it's really about controlling your output and then controlling the quality and picking the right stack. So where I've settled is on Python, SQLite, and Tailwind. It's like to me, it's the most perfect stack. And my dev strategy has changed as well. I don't modularize my functions. I don't really organize my code as much anymore because the app.py that I use or like my strategy is like I can handle like the AI can handle 5,000 lines of context. So what's the point of trying to modularize if that's kind of the issue, right? So I'm just going to SSH to my server and get the domain uh, sorted out so I can have a place to work. So here, my strategy works like this. I have a dev server, and on that dev server, I have a pretty elite set of or like I have a pretty good stack on this one server. So this is the actual server here. And it has Apache, it has PHP, no database. Like I don't use MySQL, I just use SQLite. In some instances, I can get away with like a JSON file. But the idea is to keep my stack deployment super manageable so I can deploy lots of apps. And the complexity that I can deploy with Python, SQLite, and Tailwind is incredible while keeping the context really low. And we'll walk you through that. So first I have to create a new user. So I'm going to do, so we'll do manage.sh, which is just a bash script. So I used to use Plesk. I used to use all these tools for managing. Now with AI, I just literally have a script that I wrote with the AI's help. And it's as simple as this. So I say Twitter is the new SSH user. Um, Okay. And then it says, would you like Docker access? No. Would you like SSL? Yes. Description, demo, Twitter, clone. Okay. And then this will deploy, it'll do the SSL. So I just built this bash script that does everything that like Plesk and these other systems would do. And it was much easier to do that than to deploy again, another abstraction layer and whatnot. So you can see I've created the Twitter.swift user. I've got permissions that are automatically set up in that directory, and it auto provisions the SSL for me as well, which is a key thing. And so I'll set the password. Won't tell you that. Usually I use SSH keys, but for the first login, I use a password, right? So uh, yeah, so that's good. Cool. All right. So let's hit Control Cancel on that and clear, and we are pretty much set up to go. So I'm going to switch over to Cursor. So Cursor, this is just my SSH config. I don't really have to worry about security on this because it's just damp sample work. And it's all protected by SSH keys. So if you're wondering why I'm so cavalier, it's because I am well prepared. So I'm going to log into this with SSH. So I'm using Cursor to basically SSH into the server for the first time, and then I'm gonna, do my SSH keys and whatnot. But because I'm gonna delete this domain right after, I'm probably gonna only ever SSH once, so I'm not really gonna make a big deal of it. This is just for demonstration purposes. So cursor loads up. I am in the server with SSH, and so I'm gonna go ahead and make a directory I'll just do ls, show you where I am. So I'm going to go into, I'll just make a directory called Twitter clone. Now just notice my layout because I customize this as well. I use master.md to control the context of the directory. So after I'm done like working with cursor, I'll like update this master.md and I'll try and keep all the context there. Cursor does a good job of conversation history, but I find that this is a little bit more practical for my purposes. So I make the directory Twitter clone, and then I'm going to open up the directory Twitter clone, and now I'm going to get to work. And first, you have to spend time like architecting context, right? That's really important. Without context, you kind of just get slop from AI. But if you engineer context and you give your code purpose, you get a lot more value. So I'm going to engineer a pretty quick context, just to give you an example. And I'm going to control certain points because I don't want AI to like go down the traditional rule of modularization. So I'm going to be very, very precise. So the first thing is using Python and Flask. So Flask is a library um, for Python. It makes building endpoints really easy and fluid. So I'm going to say using Python and Flask, let's build a Twitter clone with user auth and the endpoints required. Let's consolidate all the code into an app.py. Let's serve the app on port 5060, just random port. Let's use a simple SQLite table schema and structure. Um, and we will use the Tailwind CDN for the front end. And for now, let's use minimal inline HTML files. So we'll say like login.html, dashboard.html, etc. So this is what I'm going to say to the agent. But first, I'm going to say, create me a clear and context.md doc on the following. Make it, make it precise for an AI agent. Here is the overview. Okay. Um, please give me one.md to review. All right, so first off, I'm taking the time to engineer the context with my knowledge in web development, right? Like I'm choosing Python, I'm saying this, I'm saying use Tailwind, use this and this, just from experience. Now, what I'm going for is a stack that is again very manageable, very maintainable, very rapid because I'm trying to get like an MVP, a minimum valuable product to market. And so I'm keeping things very, very condensed and confined, right? And then as I go forward, I might add more modularity, more object-oriented flow, whatever. But so let's look at the context.md and let's just give it a quick scan. So this is what I do is like, is it kind of matching everything? All right, backend framework, Python, Flask, port, da 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 da. Okay, looking good, looking good. Now I'll simply ask it. I'll like say, let's review the context. Do you have enough to complete a Twitter clone with this context.md? Right. I don't want to read it. If I was serious about it, I guess I'd read the whole thing. I know it's missing endpoints. I can see that right away. It's definitely missing a few endpoints here. Um, so let's see what it says. After reviewing the I confirm yes, that this provides sufficient information to complete a Twitter clone implementation. Okay, well, I trust you. I trust you. Maybe we'll see. Um, definitely missing some things, but that's okay. So then the next step is going to be I'm going to need to set up VNV environment for this and install the Python library. So let's go ahead and do that. The cool thing about having Cursor integrated to your server like this is it will give you the commands to execute and will ask you to run them, which is which is just wonderful. It's just absolutely wonderful. So I hit run, and then boom, it does that. And what I'm going to do is open up a terminal just so I can watch, and inject if I need to activate. So it's activating the virtual environment. It's installing Flask, and we hit run. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to give it to do is after I set up the virtual environment, I'm going to say, okay, great, let's now configure the database as well. So what's it saying? CDD, da, 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 print. Okay, sure, it's sourcing the environment and saying successful. You got to wonder though, AI always likes to do stuff like this, and it's like burning through tokens, and I'm like, just do what I say. Okay, so okay, great. Let's now configure the database as well. So we're going to get it to create the .db file. Now, I think just as this is kind of going on, one of the things that that I could say is that, what did base 44 and replit and all these things, they make this process more, user friendly, right? I'm doing it manually. I'm controlling every part of the code, but I'm also not connected to base 44. I could get rid of cursor, I could SSH to the app, and I could finish it myself, right? And so proprietary control is always something that's really important to me in web and my clients. You have to make sure that you're in control of the code that you're writing, especially more now than ever. Like you do need these fundamentals to a degree to say like, yeah, this is the right thing, this is the wrong thing. And I find myself in these situations quite a bit with just the people that are trying to vibe code apps around me, and they're like, hey, they ask me a question about this or that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're close. Like you might want to do it like this or use this programming language or whatnot. Um, and so let's see, did we source import SQL Python 3? Okay, did it create the DB? Yes, it did. Excellent. Okay. All right, so now let's complete the app.py and the HTML templates and finish the application. It's okay to create uh, a demo user, etc. All right. One of the things that I tell my students, and yeah, and just to touch you on that, if you guys are interested in learning about code, head over to Selkirk College and check out the web development program. What I'm doing with that program is basically taking computer science, programming fundamentals, servers, man, and condensing it all into 8 months. It's a lot of knowledge, but I go right into servers, I go right into SSH, I go right into virtualization, Proxmox, VMware, everything. So I start with fundamentals. I go all the way into servers, all the way into databases, and really empower everybody with the fundamentals so that you can do stuff like this very, very quickly. But I have a rule, no AI until you're comfortable with programming fundamentals, because I'm very confident that programming fundamentals teach you how to think in kind of this modern era. And if you get those fundamentals down, I think you'll be able to like do anything. Um, but you have to get this. You have to like know functions, know arrays, know technology stack, and have some experience and exposure to it. Because without it, you just won't get as far as you want. And so that's just one thing that I've noticed throughout throughout my time, teaching and working in this industry, is that you need to build a solid set of fundamentals before you approach this. So my server is doing backups right now in my office. So if you hear that beep, I apologize. It will turn off in a second. It's crazy to think though, like 2 years, 2.5 years ago, here I am like building my own Python apps and coding all this out by myself, wishing that this would actually, like when I would manage, agile teams and do this, I'm like, man, it would be so amazing if I could just tell, an employee exactly what I want and then it did it. And now it'll be living in this era of it. It's like wild. But um I do see like the vibe coding realm. is awesome. I mean, you're gonna have those that industry pop up, like the Weebly's, the Wix's, are like the base 44s, and they're gonna pop up, and there's gonna be a lot of people that are building out these little things. But you're still gonna be faced with the scalability attached to this like platform, right? And that's where when you tend to build real solutions, you tend to need to be in control of the source code and the server from the bottom up, right? And so anyways, I encourage you, if you're interested in learning about programming, head over to Selkirk College's website. Ask me some questions in the comments or whatnot. It's a good program. I'm the there's like I teach pretty much the whole year. I teach everything, fundamentals, servers, databases, cybersecurity, and then in that was a lot of API and AI stuff. But yeah, I really encourage you guys to check that out. Um, so where are we here? So cursor has finished the app.py. It has finished the login, the base, the register, and the dashboard, which is cool. And we're just waiting. Like billable hours for like the Twitter clone was like, 3,000 hours 2 hours ago, or 2 years ago. I think the billable is still 3,000 hours. Just kidding. Dot dot dot. So lots of business to be made right now. Okay, so run and let's see what we got. So Python booted up. Let's go and check out how good this Twitter clone is. So we're going to go to Twitter.Swift port 5060 192. Don't like that I can't see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to source the environment myself, env, bin, activate, and then go Python 3 app.py. And it says 5,000 is already in use. So it is running. Let's see, why can't I see it? Chrome, let's go to Chrome. 192.99.5060. Unsafe port. Well, that's interesting. Never seen that error before. Um, let's shut it down and use port 5059. Okay, I'm just going to hit stop after it killed it. And then what I'm going to do is go into the app.py. I'll search port and let's change it to like 5059 or something. And let's run it again. Python 3 app.py. Okay, it's booting up. Right on. So what do we got? We have a nice login screen. We have um, a couple users. So let's log in to John_Doe, password 123, sign in, save. Cool. Now does it work? Test tweet. It works. It works. It's got a little profile, got a little home, and there you go. Right. So now that part of the app is done, I'm just going to try logging into a different user. So we'll do like Jane Smith to see if it's really complete, if it shares user data. And so we've got Jane Smith has her own profile, right? So if I go like test, okay, cool. And then I like view John Doe. Yeah, cool. It's got like the thing I did 30 seconds ago. Very cool. So from here, now it's a matter of like building context. So, I could say to the AI, it says, great job. It loves when I do stuff like that. So I'll just say, got to keep those machines happy. Great job. Um, and, you know, let's add a dark theme to it as well. Um, just because I want to. But what's happened here is the AI has done all the CRUD operations, right? So all apps are a CRUD operation. So it's on create, read, update, delete. I know to say like, can you make sure the endpoints for all the CRUD operations are complete? If I was having issues, that's probably the prompt. So I'm using natural language to increase my precision based on my knowledge, right? And that's why fundamentals are key. But the scalability of SQLite is super high. Like I know that it can handle, every second it can handle updates from at least 400 places. And at the end of that month, I know that database is going to be like 10 gigabytes or less, right? It's very manageable for a starting application. So let's say, like, where does an application like this belong? Well, a community, right? Like, let's say I go to my community where I live and I say, "Hey, community center, you want your own Twitter app?" And we just go to, mycommunity.ca and log in, and there's like their own application, but it's done, right? I literally did it all in this little video. But the source code is on my server, so I can scale it that way. The stack is ready to go. I have login working. Does it need security and all that other stuff? Yeah, I need to increase it, but Python itself is very secure, right? The way that I'm using like an app.py, I don't have to worry about Apache security or any of that is all contained, right? So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about, how I'm viewing app development these days. And using Python, I can pretty much switch to like building hardware apps for, radios or robots or whatever else. And I find it very versatile. And hopefully you found this helpful. I mean, that's why I'm doing it, just kind of giving you a window into a little bit more of what what I'm doing and what I'm up to and more importantly, what I'm teaching, right? People say, should I learn programming in the age of AI? And I'm like, absolutely, because everything going on with AI is going to require you to think like a programmer. You're going to need to know how to create variables, create arrays, assign data into those arrays, make functions to update those arrays, then move into objects, JSON, then move into data types, schemas. Without that knowledge, you can't use natural language to build quality. You will build whatever AI throws at you. And so if I redid this session and I just went and opened up a new directory and I said, make a Twitter clone, it could have picked PHP, it could have picked Node.js, it could have picked just pure JavaScript, it could have picked Ruby on Rails, it could have picked anything, right? And it would have built out thousands of lines of code. And why is really important because AI makes money when it builds more complexity. More complexity isn't always value. And that's what, that's the debate going on right now in web development is like, should I use inline JavaScript and inline CSS and HTML in my website? And I'm like, yeah, because AI can handle the context. I don't need to have it separated. And developers would be like, well, that's dumb. You're doing things wrong. And I'd be like, well, do we do we care about keeping things manageable from a human standpoint or a machine standpoint? So lots of cool, interesting debate. But hopefully you guys got something from that. I normally stick with the BlackBerry stuff, but I wanted to show you a little bit about, how you could or how like using AI at this level is kind of changing the game, and it really is. So let's see, did it add my dark theme? Yes, it did. Cool. Nice. Okay. Well, hope you guys enjoyed that. Talk to you later.